If everyone could please put on their translation headsets, that would be fabulous. They should be on your seat. While you do that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. I host a podcast about love from the New York Times. It's called Modern Love. And because of that, oh, thank you. Wow, so nice. Thank you. Because of that, I see cities through the specific lens of my work. I see them as these deep webs of relationships. And today I'm thrilled to talk to two people who are thinking through the ways that a city can become a love story. Shin Zang-jin, the mayor of Songnam, South Korea, and Daphne Lundy, a public scholar at the City College of New York. Welcome, you two. I want to begin with you, Mayor. You've started a government-run matchmaking program for single people in Songnam called Solomon's Choice. That's a play on the word solo, which is a fun way of referring to single people in South Korea. You have a video that explains what Solomon's Choice is all about, so let's watch that.
저는 좋은 기회라고 생각하고 이런 사업이 다른 곳에도 꼭 필요하다고 생각합니다.
All right, so Mayor, what gave you the idea to start Solomon's Choice? I know it was a very personal origin story for you.
저희 딸이
Yes, I've got two daughters. One is 34, another one is 32. They both working really hard, and they really can't spare their time to date. So it's always been my concern as a father. In Korea, South Korea has got a serious problem with the fertility rate. It's 0.72. So in order to overcome this low birth rate, we do tackle this issue with various strategies, but not many solutions that we came across with. So as a mayor, I thought it would be a good idea to approach and inspired by my two daughters, I thought it would be a good idea to start with something like Solomon's Choice. So that is the background.
Oh, yes.
Should I give it?
Thank you so much. These are the name tags they use at Solomon's Choice events.
Solomon's Choice.
I will wear this for the rest of my time here. You're a very good dad. That's a beautiful origin story. So you mentioned some statistics in this video, but South Korea has the world's lowest fertility rate at 0.72 in 2023. And Solomon's Choice events are part of a larger initiative to increase the number of marriages and therefore births in South Korea more broadly. And there have been critics to this approach, people who say that the obstacles to marriage or having kids are much more structural or cultural, such as long work hours that prevent people from leisure time to date or inadequate maternity leave. What would you say to those perspectives?
물론
Yes, I think just giving them a chance to meet up with a possible partner would not necessarily increase marriage rate or fertility rate. I do believe the low rate of marriage and fertility has got more complex reasons behind. But for Songnam City, it's very close to capital city Seoul, which means that Songnam City is a very expensive city to live and long working hours. There are various difficulties that if anyone wants to get married and have a kids. So we do need to have a step-by-step approaches. But as a starting point, having a Solomon's choice would be a good starting point. And so not only Songnam, we started in Songnam City, but other cities in South Korea started to adopt this event. And I think it would definitely contribute from a fundamental point to giving young people at least starting to have a chance to open up their mind a little bit.
Incremental approach. Before I go to you, Daphne, I have to ask, in that video we just saw, was that you at the first marriage for the Solomon's Choice couple? Were you the guest of honor? What was that like?
예, 작년 11월에
Yes, last December there were a couple. 7th of July this year they got married, and there's a second couple is going to be married in September. I am absolutely delighted, and Solomon's Choice it's a fantastic outcome, really. So I was very happy. So I attended the wedding, and for the last 460 pairs went out to have a date, and among them, 40% are dating. They are still dating. So we did conduct a survey, and 78% of those who are still dating considering possibility of getting married. So I think in Korean culture, we don't have kids before you get married, which means you did need to have a wedlock to get married, and it's only 47%. It's the lowest possible. So, so compared to other culture where 45 kids can be born out of wedlock, in Korea, marriage is a must before anyone to consider to have a baby. So I think it's a good sign.
You got to get the tux ready. You have a lot of weddings upcoming, it sounds like. Daphne, let's talk. You have a background in urban planning and climate policy, and you co-created the project Romantic Urbanism, which I am fascinated by. Tell me what the origin story is there.
Yeah, well, first, the project really started from a love of romantic comedies. And my collaborator and I, Louise Young, she's also an urban planner, and in the early days of the pandemic, both of us were pulled into emergency response for the city of New York. And one of the ways that we would find to make community and support each other was watching romantic comedies and sharing meals and connecting and finding that as a place of respite. And so we started to think about romantic comedies specifically because they're really unique as a genre. They're a genre that focuses on women mostly, and they also focus on how women navigate space. And so it started from this sort of like lighthearted look at romantic comedies, but then it expanded even further. And you can take a movie like Rye Lane, which in my opinion is one of the best recent romantic comedies that has been made, so you should check it out.
Hot take, okay, great.
Hot take, or warm take, tender take. But then you can take a film like that and see how through them navigating South London, specifically Brixton, you're learning about their relationship, but you're also learning about a unique part of Black London as well. And so that sort of started us thinking about other ways that we can sort of revisit sort of urbanism tropes through this lens of romantic comedies and romantic urbanism in general. And you know, for folks that are from the urban planning space, they're likely familiar with Kevin Lynch and the 5 elements of cities. And we started to sort of break these apart and sort of focus them on this idea of love. And so you could take a landmark, and you know, we think about landmarks as a building, a tower, a site, and we could start to ask ourselves, what are the landmarks of your most significant relationships? If you're trying to introduce somebody to your city, what would you show them? And I think for some people it might be the Eiffel Tower if they're Parisian and they have a connection to the Eiffel Tower. But I think more often than not, you'll find that the landmarks are these mundane civic spaces.
Right.
So the bench where you had your first kiss, or the park where you met your best friend. So it becomes this deeper exploration of love.
Totally, or the bridge where you cried after your breakup, which is a personal
there, been
thing.
there.
You've been there.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So something I really love about this concept of romantic urbanism is that it doesn't privilege romantic love over other types of love, right? Family, friendship, neighborly love. Can you talk about how those different types of love are important to your work and why it's important to approach this kind of non-hierarchical position?
Yeah, I reflect on my own experience as a native New Yorker, and there are many things about my life that were shaped by romantic relationships, but my life was equally shaped by the friends I made, the family I had, the way they supported me through different phases of my life. And so when we think about sort of the infrastructure that supports people, yes, it's having potentially a romantic partner, but it's also important to have friends and community support. And so that's why it's been really exciting to develop this work over the past year plus. And something that we did over Valentine's Day was that we did a call for projects, romantic urbanism projects, and we got 80 respondents from around the world. And so over the next couple of years, we're developing essays, public activations, and art that really touches on this theme of romantic urbanism. So 2 pieces really excited about. One is a piece exploring paratransit and the ways that people with mobility issues use paratransit and form communities in that space. And another piece that we're interested in is bodegas and thinking about bodegas as care infrastructure, where you buy medicine for a sick friend or where you buy things to prepare a dinner.
Right.
So thinking about those different pieces. And to make a small plug, if you're in New York City, next Sunday, we're doing Department of Tenderness, which is a speculative government office.
How cool.
Perhaps they should talk to you, Mayor Shin, to think about ways to really get people thinking about love and public space. So we'll be doing that next week.
Wait, tell us a little bit more. So it's in New York on Sunday. You're going to have these signs put places.
Yes, it's going to be New York, Sunday, October 20th, Kensington Plaza. And this speculative office is meant to have people think about ways to reshape streets and other spaces through this lens of romantic urbanism. So our sister agency is NYC DOT, Department of Transportation. So we're riffing off of that structure, but we're using that as a space for people to think about love landmarks, to think about ways that transportation shapes relationships, but really using this idea of speculative bureaucracy to start a conversation about love in cities.
We should have put some of these signs up around here, huh? That would be fun to have a hug station at this conference. All right, I want to ask questions to both of you just to close us out. With both of your work, you're thinking about sort of broad-scale solutions for what some might consider personal problems, right? Loneliness, trying to find your person. Why is it important to approach these more so-called personal issues from a broad, citywide level? I'll start with you, Mayor.
네. 저희는 솔로몬의
더 얘기를
선택 같은 거
해주세요. Well, Solomon's choice is one of the approaches. There are lots of people who feel lonely, and in Songnam City, there are lots of one-person household, and we, as a city, we do have a supporting center where a one-person household can meet up all together and to cook together or go watch a movie together, so they can have some kind of intimacy. So as a local government or a city, I think it is important to make that opportunity environment for any individual lonely people can get together.
Thank you. And Daphne, what do you think?
Yeah, one thing I'd offer is a bit of a reframing. I think something that we're experiencing now is the fact that a lot of policies are personal. They shape our lives, they shape how we feel. And I'm reflecting on what Mayor Brugada offered earlier today, this idea of care infrastructure. And I think another word for care is love. And so to the extent that we care about how residents of cities love, whether it's romantic or friendship or through family, ensuring that they're able to do that is also another way to ensure that their well-being, their mental health is looked out for. And so I think it's part of the different types of infrastructures that policymakers, planners have to think about when they want to make sure their citizens are okay.
Love is just as important. Okay, I'm going to do one more question. So I ask this question on my podcast a lot. It's very broad, but I know you guys can roll with it. Through the work that you do, both of you, what do you think you've learned about love? I'm going to switch it up and start with Daphne.
Yeah, I and many other people reread Bell Hooks' All About Love in the middle of the pandemic. And I think something through this work and her work I'm reminded of is this idea of love as action, love as a verb. It's something that we have to constantly work on. And I liken it to the work of policy making and city making. If we think about care as an action, if we think about love as an action, we realize that it's something that we have to continue to shape and work on and focus on.
Love as an action. And what about you, Mayor?
사랑은 뭐 생명이고
Love is life. Love is the most fundamental key point that human beings do have. And from the city's perspective, the individuals who are connected with love and the way how they exist under the umbrella of love, that will sustain city, that will develop city where we live, and that will boost the policies that can make another connection of love with other cities. So I think the root of humanity is love.
Couldn't have put it better myself. Thank you so much, everyone. Let's fall in love today.